Advantage. Right after that, we'll have South Downs. And then we'll have All Other Breeds. Entering the ring is our first class of registered Dorset breeding sheep. We have yearling ewes, 2 entries exhibited by Grayson Long from Rockingham County.
Well, a good way to start here in our U show, and logical place for me to lead off with the one that's just got more to her in terms of natural width underneath, the one that's got the right kind of cage and rib shape, one that you really appreciate for the brute you value in her, and then she's feminine up front as well. She's tall-shouldered, long-spined, really good bodied as you read her through her center body and her three-quarter here back through her flank. Like that one quite a bit. She's probably not quite genuinely as level-hipped as the one that comes second in class. A really tall-shouldered, slick neck, smooth-bladed kind of a female, and you like a lot of that quality look we see in this one. She needs to be pulled apart underneath compared to our class winner. Needs to be made more cylindrical around her in terms of her cage. Just want to pull her apart, stouten her up, drop her in her twist just a bit. Two nice ones here. Let's congratulate these exhibitors.
And that entry, those two entries also made up the pair of yearling ewes, which got first place. And the placement in the first class, first and second, goes to Grayson Long. Now we have our intermediate ewe lamb class. We have Carly Buchanan from Augusta County, Sedona Sifford from Fauquier, Ella Earhart from Augusta, Grayson Long from Rockingham, Charlotte Bowman from Montgomery, Grayson Long with a second entry, and Lily Bowman from Montgomery County.
Well, a really nice class here, and for me, it gets a little challenging here down, but well, no question, the one I like the best here, and I think puts the most positives together in this particular class. Young ladies up front, that's the one that looks the best on the move, maintains the right kind of elevation, pretty wide, genuine in terms of body shape, productive in her look from the side. There's more to her in terms of her length of hind saddle, in terms of her spread up high, matching her width down low. I think just a high quality one. Love the look of that one. Really like how she maintains that levelness and that design as we set her in motion. The one most like her comes 2 in class, one that's also unique in terms of her look from the side right down her top line. Shouldn't have as much to her just from a density standpoint. She's not as wide underneath, not as bulky last rib back, not quite as big pinned. Doesn't handle her rear too quite as good. I'd like to just relax her in terms of her back leg, just make her set it further forward and just relax there in terms of her pastern. Comparatively, she's got more body, she's fresher, she's better from her last rib back in terms of loin shape than the one that comes 3 in class. This one's better days, no doubt, in my opinion, her head. We just need to soften her center, drop her center body and flank compared to those in front of her to move that one up. But that's a nice one as well. I like the way she flexes her hock and pastern just a bit better than the one that comes in too. It's not quite as much to her. Great big bodied one, comes 3 in class, one I really appreciate for that. We have a lot of broodiness in the center of that one, and I like that. I'm a production guy. But that one gets pretty plain when we set her in motion. She wants to round her top, duck her pin. She doesn't handle her back leg, not as genuine in terms of shape, carrying maybe a little more cover and condition than what we see. Young lady comes next, has one that's just a little challenged in terms of her elevation, challenged in terms of her growth curve. Good sheep, good bodied, but a little short from her last rib back, just a little quicker made, a little earlier maturing than what we see in those that come in front. Round out the class here with one just in terms of body type, awful good. Set her in motion, doesn't go as well, doesn't balance up as neat from the side. Put your hands together for those kids.
Results from your intermediate ULAM class. First place goes to Carly Buchanan. Second place, Grayson Long. Third place, Lily Bowman. Fourth place, Ella Earhart. Fifth, Charlotte Bowman. Sixth, Sedona Sifford. And 7th, Grayson Long. We'll now have our junior lamb class. We have entries from Charlotte Bowman of Montgomery, Grayson Long from Rockingham, and Sedona Sifford from Fauquier.
Well, another good class of females here, and one that I think just stands out from the group in terms of width, in terms of body shape, type and kind, and she's extra shapely up top. You just read her right there at her rack and back through her loin, biggest hip and pin, and the one that's got the right kind of body shape and softness of center. She's sound, she's flexible, she's got a lot of quality to her. We get her out here. Get right in front of her, maybe want to criticize her just a bit. If you want to call her a little coarser at the point of her shoulder, I'll agree with you. Maybe not as smooth right down her top comparative to the world of sheep that we have to look at, but a really nice one here that leads off. That one's got lots of good things going for her. The one that comes in too, tall-shouldered, elevated, good built, one that proportions pretty good from the side. She's fresher in her look and her touch and her skin, and she's genuinely got more true width, has more width underneath. She's got more shape than the one that comes 3. 1 and 3 is bigger footed, stouter at the surface, and I like that about her. Get her out here and she gets deeper up front, tighter in her flank, wants to close up a little more at the surface. Good stock. Congratulate those kids if you will.
Our junior ewe lamb results: first place goes to Grayson Long, second to Charlotte Bowman, third to Sedona Sifford. We'll now have 3 sets of pair lambs. We have a pair from Charlotte Bowman, a pair from Grayson Long, and a pair from Sedona Sifford.
Well, these on this end, young ladies in the more colorful shirts have our class pair champion here. 2 that you just really appreciate in terms of their quality of build, their natural width, their rib, their softness of center. These ewe lambs just come to us in a higher quality package. They have more width, they have more trueness in terms of rib cage and shape, both from the surface and up top. Contrasting in size, and that's fine. It's what they're supposed to be according to age. Good stock right there that comes out. Young ladies in the middle, they've got the 2 that I like second best. They're going to be second in our pair class. More uniform in size, although different in ages. These just come a bit fresher, a bit wider, a bit more genuine in terms of their balance and their body shape. Nice stock here that comes to. The ones in 3, for me, they're probably just a little narrower, if you will. Genuinely get out of both ends of their skeleton just with a little narrower. Hipped back here, don't pull their hocks quite as square as we set them in motion. Just want to see them a little fresher compared to the 2 that come in front. But nice ones there. Put your hands together for all those young ladies.
In our pair lambs, first place goes to Grayson Long, second to Charlotte Bowman, and third to Sedona Sifford. We'll now have a best 3 head with one exhibitor, Grayson Long. After our best three head, we'll pick our champion Dorset U and our reserve champion. Then we'll have a bred and owned class.
Well, this exhibitor brings a trio of nice ones back here with the pair and another one that comes in with them. I can tell you she likes stock that has width underneath. She likes stock that has body quality and shape and productivity and still wants them attractive. She's done a heck of a job with the trio. Let's congratulate her on her champion 3.
First place for best three head goes to Grayson Long. We'll now bring back our top 2 from our yearling, intermediate, and junior ULAM classes. From our yearling U class, both entries are from Grayson Long. From the intermediate class, we need Carly Buchanan and Grayson Long. And from our junior U's, we need Grayson Long and Charlotte Bowman.
Well, we get our class winners and our second spout back out here in our Dorset Drive, and well, we have some quality here across the front and the back line. Good stock and I think genuine in terms of how they're built. We've really got a bulky set of females. When you start talking about rib cage, natural width and spread, and matching the base of their skeleton to the top side, we really have a nice set here at the front that come back in. There was one that I felt like maybe just a bit more unique in terms of look, in terms of build, in terms of ring presence here, and follow up with one that's awful close. Just when you start talking about width, start talking about body type, start talking about density and still maintaining elite looks. There was a second one I feel like follows that one pretty closely. Y'all congratulate these kids. I'll show you my 2 favorites.
Your champion comes from the intermediate class, exhibited by Carly Buchanan. And your reserve comes from your junior class, exhibited by Grayson Long. All right, our next class will be bred and owned ewes. We have an entry from Grayson Long and Ella Earhart.
Two nice bred and owns out here. Opt to use the younger sheep, the one that I told you before, just fits together so well in terms of her base width, her width at the base of her body, and then carries that up just dimensionally, has more to her in terms of true rib shape, true natural width. Awful big centered one, comes 2 in class. She does a nice job and looks good for me standing still. I told you in class we set that one in motion. Just want to have her maybe a notch leaner in terms of body condition, want her to function and handle herself, maintain a little neater look as we set her in motion. But good stock out here. Let's congratulate these young ladies.
In our bred and owned class, first place goes to Grayson Long and second goes to Ella Earhart. This concludes our registered Dorset breeding classes. We're now moving on to Dorset Advantage. Our first class for Dorset Advantage for senior ewe lambs, we have one entry by Rachel DeBoer from Madison County.
Well, a good single entry female here leading off our Dorset Advantage group, and one that I can tell you is really genuine in terms of base width, rib cage, freshness up high, and dimension. That female there is awful good in the shape of her body, right behind her blade and her forerib. She's big back, she's smooth, she's fresh. She's got a huge pin set, really carries deep into her leg. I really like her, especially the back 3/4. Up front, she gets out just a little in terms of her breastbone. We could maybe elevate her at the point of her shoulder just a little bit. When she sets her in motion, she wants to pull her knees forward just a little more vertical maybe. In terms of our shoulder angle, we could change her up just with some elevation. But that one is really good, genuine, awful nice entry here. Could have stood a lot of competition, I'd say.
Thank you, Rachel DeBoer, for your entry in senior ewe lambs with the first place. Our next class are intermediate ewe lambs. We have 3 entries, one by Gage Sather of Louisa, Eli Gibson of Louisa, and Colton Spangler of Floyd.
Well, a really competitive class here, and frankly, differences in types and kinds. The one I lead off with is the one that's the most elegant, the one that's the most feminine, the most elevated up front, still maintains the right kind of look right down her top line as we set her in motion. She's not as stout just in terms of muscle shape as those that come behind her, but this one is the one that combines the flexibility, the body type, and that extra balance from the side. Is neater at the point of her shoulder, better in the way her neck comes out the top of her blade, just more feminine and attractive up front, and still big pin, stout, deep twisted, comparative to the World of Sheep. The 1 and 2, I'm going to call that one the power female of the class, and I love that one's rib cage. If you like that one right behind her shoulder, hey, you like them like I do. She's bold centered, she's big back, she's one that just carries that natural width from the back of her shoulder back out through her hip and pin set. For me, as we set her in motion, she drops her front end out. She wants to open at the top of her blade. Her neck comes out of the top of her shoulder just a bit low. I want to pull her up. I want to elevate her up front. I want to genuinely just make her a notch more attractive in the front third of her body. We could lengthen her out her hip. It would make me like her that much better. She wants to get a little shorter hip from hooks to pins compared to our class winner, but a really good one comes in too. Young man in 3's got the one that's probably the most appropriate in terms of body condition, if you will, but that one just gets a little more up and down in terms of shoulder angle and knee, gives up too much in terms of levelness of top line and body shape underneath from our center of our body back to our flank. Good stock out here. Congratulate all these kids.
Results for our intermediate U's. First place goes to Gage Sather. Second place, Eli Gibson. Third place, Colton Spangler. We'll next have our junior ULAM class. We have Kinsley Talbert of Pulaski, Sedona Sifford of Fauquier, Carly Buchanan of Augusta, Brenna Pennybacker of Rockingham, London Vanderhyde of Pennsylvania, Samantha Wills of Fluvanna, Lily Bowman of Montgomery, and Alyssa Kopp from Washington.
Well, it's a really nice class out here, and some differences in type and kind, but I'll just tell you, lots of quality all the way down here. All the way down, and I don't mind mentioning and talking about those if y'all want to hold them right there. That's why I didn't visit with you when we came across. The one that leads off for me, I think she gets this done in terms of balance, in terms of movement. Structural integrity in this one is just paramount in getting to the front of our class. She moves so well. She's more flexible out of her front end than the 1 and 2. She's better out of her hock and pastern than the 1 and 3. She's better in terms of body type and cage than the 1 and 4. Better top line than the 1 and 5. When I add up the good and subtract the bad, the combinations land on this one. Her neck does not come perfectly out the top of her shoulder, and I like the way that this one sets, just in terms of neck carriage, coming right out the top of her blade comparatively. But when you set that pair in motion, no doubt the one that's the best in terms of flexibility, body type, hock placement, one that just does a neater job of making that underline look exceptional from the side and the 3/4. One that leads off is awful nice. 1 and 2 is massive in terms of her body. She's big up high. She's no doubt bigger and bolder up top and longer hind saddle comparative to the one that comes in 3. There's a lot of quality in that sheep, and I like that sheep standing still immensely. Set her in motion. You can watch her chest comes down, tightens up a bit in terms of her flank. She's not quite as cylindrical right behind her shoulder as the one that wins her class. That's a good one. It comes in 2. Similar story to the one in 3, young lady's blue sheep. One that's got the big cage, one that is neat at the point of her shoulder, neck comes out right. I'm a little challenged to move her up from here because of her last rib back in terms of length of loin, length of hip, and hind saddle, dimension up top, and her pin set, the way she handles her rear two. She just wants to shove her spine up. She's not as bold. She's not as good last rib back, but that's a nice one as well. Comes in 3. Really good one comes 4 in class. Young lady's done a great job with that one. Tall-shouldered kind of a sheep. One that's really productive in terms of how she's built. She is long spined, long-hipped and hind saddle. She's a little flatter in her rib cage. She dries up just a bit in her center body and flank. She's not as big hipped or pinned. Doesn't travel as square on her rear two comparative to those. You saw me set her in motion. We get her going. She doesn't reach and go. She's not as limber as the trio that comes out front, but that's a nice one as well. One that comes behind, a little more marginal in size, and that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is she's a little frailer at the surface. When you set her in motion, she pushes her spine right up in the middle of her body. She doesn't maintain that level look. So we set that one going. Just want to change her shoulder angle and knee. Want to relax her spine a bit. That one's good bodied, big pin. One that's got a great turn to her rib cage and a lot of future. Come over, we got a little sheep that just not quite big enough and a little coarser in terms of her blade work and her joint work. Got another one that gets deeper chested, a little tighter flanked. Doesn't have the density at the surface, not as big hipped and pinned. Round out our class with one for me that just gets a little flatter in her cage. One that's not as good off her rear two, not as wide underneath. Congratulate all those kids if you will.
Results for our Junior U Dorset Advantage class. First place goes to Carly Buchanan. Second place, London Vanderhyde. Third place, Brenna Pennybacker. Fourth, Lily Bowman. Fifth, Samantha Wills. Sixth, Alyssa Kopp. Seventh, Sedona Sifford. And eighth to Kinsley Talbert. We'll now bring back our first and second place lambs for our senior, intermediate, and junior U lamb classes. From the senior U lambs, we have Rachel DeBoer. From the intermediate U lamb class, we have Gage Sather and Eli Gibson. And from the the junior U lamb classes, we have Carly Buchanan and London Vanderhyde.
Well, we come back out for our division drive, and we've got five quality sheep here, that come back in the drive. The three in the front line, different and how they're all built, but really good. Similar story in back. The one that came out first here, the older ewe, is one that I talked about. The back 3/4 of that one's body, it's awful good. That one's chest comes out just a little bit, drops down. Shoulder angle still isn't right. Knee sets just a little forward, but that's a really nice one. Bulky, productive, broody kind of a sheep. It comes right there as our class winner. Out of that second class here, well, we had a real elite one just in terms of elevation and smoothness through her blade. Not quite as wide underneath as some of these that are out. One that's extremely feminine and tall-shouldered, still shapely up high. One that progressively gets wider back, just gets a little narrower in her chest comparatively. The one that was second, I told you, muscle sheep. Round-bodied, stout, a little lower set in her chest, one that's a little coarser in her chest and breastplate, and one that's a little shorter right there in her hip. Just talked the last two out of a very competitive class. Little differences in type and kind. Two really good ones, naturally wide up in their chest, long spine, shapely. Two that really work well for me, and I think those are the best two. Let's congratulate the ladies out of the last class.
Your champion and reserve both come from the junior lamb class, which is Carly Buchanan and London Vanderhyde. We'll now have our bred and owned class with 3 entries: Carly Buchanan, Lily Bowman, and Alyssa Kopp. Our registered Southdowns, you can be in the ready area, our yearling ewes, our pair of yearling ewes, and our senior ewes.
Well, congratulate these kids, if you will, on a bred-and-owned class. It's pretty impressive, actually. I appreciate the fact that they're running their own sheep, they're making their own sheep, and that's what we're here for, is raising these kids with livestock. And these are actually into the production side of it. I appreciate that. I applaud you as parents, and I applaud you as exhibitors for doing that. Obviously, the one that's going to win is the one that won the last time, and that's the one that I think just has the most unique pieces. I'd still like to pull her neck up out of her shoulder. Class advantage, probably, of elevation, just goes to the young man here. Just wanted to open that one up a bit up front, lay her back in terms of her blade and knee. Young lady in 3 has an awful nice one, not quite as balanced up as what we'd like to see, not as big hipped, pinned, or topped as the pair that comes in front, but a really nice one. Round out our class with a really nice little female the young lady has. One that's just a little plainer in terms of her chest, a little plainer in terms of her foot size, her mass up high, her width and pin set. Let's congratulate those kids on a very good class.
In our bred and owned Dorset Advantage class, first place goes to Carly Buchanan, second to Gage Sather, third Lily Bowman, and fourth Alyssa Kopp. We'll now have our registered South Downs. First class has 3 entries with yearling ewes, Marie Claire DeRozier, and 2 entries by Gannon Long. Right after the yearling ewe class, we'll have a pair of yearling ewes, also exhibited by Gannon Long. Attention in the barns, we found $2 and some change and a Sullivan Supply receipt. If you have lost your $2 and change and your Sullivan Supply receipt, let us know.
If y'all think the one up front's a little chunky in terms of rib cage, I'm going to agree with you there. We'll get that out of the way. with everything else involved, that one's pretty exceptional in terms of her width, her build. She maintains a levelness. She's extremely dense and has real shape. She's twice as wide as the rest of them. I'd like to see her leaner. And, I question, frankly, where are we at in productive value of the trio here? The reality is we own 600 to 700 of those Dorper ewes. I can tell you, I get a better breed up on the ones that are this fat than I do on the ones that are this thin. So I'm reaching back into some of my own production with running the sheep that we have and the production value that we have. I'd like to see that one leaner in relation to the world of sheep, in relation to her own body type. But that one is extremely bold, extremely round, very stout. I just want to lean her up. Her flexibility is exceptional. Want to make her just a bit leaner in terms of where she's at today. Like this one in two quite a bit as well. She's wide, she's square, she's good in terms of her body type. Not round enough, if you will, not progressively bold enough from there back, but she's bigger pinned, she's better hocked, she's deeper twisted, she's better in her spine than the one that comes behind her. Big and extended kind of sheep. The most elevated up front, and I like that. That's a class advantage here for me. One that's long hind saddle, long hip, very feminine in how she's put together. She's too narrow down low. She gets forward and in at her knee. She's too flat in her lower cage. She's too wedgy in her hip and pin set. One for me that just really flattens in her thigh from a depth of twist standpoint. Want to change her there. Good stock. Let's congratulate these kids.
Results for your first class of South Downs in the yearling ewe class. First place goes to Marie Claire de Rogier. Second place and third place go to Gannon Long.
Well, a nice pair here that we had to look at. Young lady brings us back the ones that were second and third out of class. I just described them descriptively. Quality is great. Just want to see them a little wider, a little stouter, a little more cylindrical in terms of body, and I'd like to have them just a little wider underneath comparative to the world of sheep. But good stock out here. Let's put our hands together for her.
It's a first place pair by Gannon Long. Next up, we have our senior ewe lambs. 2 entries, one by Colton Spankler of Floyd and Caitlin James of Madison.
Well, correctness of structure and flexibility sorts our class winner here. One that I think just puts more good things together. And it starts really at the surface in terms of structural build. We have our shoulder angle and our knee set right. We have one. We have one that's really flexible out of her hip hock and pastern. She stands with the right posture into her hock and her back pastern. We set that one in motion. She just reaches and goes so much better. She's taller at her chest floor. She's taller at the top of her blade. She's just a neater, better moving, nicer balanced ewe lamb out here. The one that comes two in class, bulkier, wider, stouter, give you all of those things. She gtes plainer right here as you read her from the base of her breast to the top of her shoulder. She gets in at her knee. We set her in motion. We just want to see that one reach and go more limber, particularly out of her rear too. She gets rigid in her hock and pastern. I just want her to go a bit better out here, but one that's awful bulky, really, really dense and big bodied. Put your hands together for those exhibitors. You understand all that? I wanted to move just a little smoother, okay?
Results for senior ewes. First place goes to Caitlin James and second to Colton Spangler. Next up are our intermediate ewe lambs. We have Caitlin Mayberry of Campbell, Carly Buchanan of Augusta, Charlotte Bowman of Montgomery, Bella Gibson of Louisa, Daniel James of Madison, Connor Spangler of Floyd, Lily Bowman of Montgomery, Mackenzie Sink of Montgomery, Luke Sumner of Franklin, and Gannon Long of Rockingham. Junior ewe lambs are up next. Make sure you check in junior ewe lambs.
Well, a neat female leads off here, and one that I think by combination puts the best things together in terms of flexibility, body type, balance from the side. She doesn't leave much on the table out here. She's good in the up in her chest. She's smooth in her blade. She's extremely long-hipped in hind saddle. She balances in proportions for me, the most genuine, the best in terms of composition, and the best from the side and the three-quarter. Like that one quite a bit. One that comes seconds, most similar to her, gives up some stoutness of feature, some bone work, gets a little heavier chested. One that maybe dries up just a bit in her flank, but one that's fun to look at from the side. Tall at the top of her blade, long hind saddle, level in her design. She comes wider, more genuine in her width than the one that comes 3 in class. Good one in 3, just in terms of stoutness at the surface and balance from the side. Have to open that one up comparative to the 2 that come in front. You can call her skinny if you want to, but her body shape is still good. She's shallow up front. She's round. She's good in her center body. This is one that just needs to be further along from a composition standpoint to look comparable to that pair out the front of the class. When it comes next in class, extremely wide underneath, great body, big top. Set that one in motion. She gets down in front. She gets in at her hock and back. She's not as genuine in terms of width going away. I want to open her hip and pin set up. If we can do that with that one and elevate her just a little, that one goes right toward the front of our class. That's a really good bodied one there that's got a lot of real dimension to her. Young lady wraps up her top 5 is one that has a really neat rib cage, good center body, gets a little narrow at both ends of her skeleton. Want to freshen that one up in terms of how she touches. Want to just have that one a bit neater from a skin and condition standpoint. That one starts to go. She just closes up a bit at both ends. Let's congratulate all these kids on a nice class. Thank you.
For our intermediate ULAM class, first place goes to Carly Buchanan. Second, Caitlin Mayberry. Third goes to Gannon Long. Fourth, Bella Gibson. Fifth, Charlotte Bowman. Sixth, Daniel James. Seventh, Lily Bowman. Eighth, Mackenzie Sink. Ninth, Luke Sumner. And 10th, Connor Spangler. We now have our junior ULAMs. We have an entry from Whitley Kopp of Washington, Gannon Long from Rockingham, Lily Bowman of Montgomery. 2 entries by Marie Claire DeRozier from Shenandoah, and 1 from Charlotte Bowman from Montgomery County. After this, we'll have our pair of ULAM classes and our best 3 head.
Well, I like this little ewe lamb that leads off the class, and one that just combines soundness and balance and body type to the highest degree. She's bettered her shoulder angle, her knee, her elevation. She moves better, bettered her in her hawk posture, and the way she goes around the ring. She's not perfect, probably in terms of underline, wants to round just a little right there at the end of her dock, but I think she's significantly better in structure than the big, bulky, wide one that comes to. 1 and 2, big rib caged, one that's really opened up, extra long bodied, and I like all those. I can appreciate every bit of that. That one gets up in her shoulder and knee. She doesn't reach and go. She gets a little heavier chested, a little coarser up front than what I'd like to see, but a nice one there as well. One that comes 3 in class, most like them just in terms of body type and genuine progression of width up front, back to our back. She's a little narrow comparative to those. She's a little narrow back here in her hip. I want to make her bigger as you get right in behind her. She's got great big feet, pretty long bodied, pretty tall shouldered, but one that gets a little plain in terms of her body from her center back. Want to open her up in terms of width and pin set. One that comes next in class, young lady, that one is tall, that one's long spine. There's no question that she's narrow compared to those that come in front of you. Her neck comes out a bit low. We just have to rearrange her and make her nicer balanced from the side compared to those that come in front. She needs to be wider at both ends of her skeleton. This one's bulky centered. She's good bodied, best I can tell, but she is carrying an excessive amount of condition in relation to her framework, her elevation, and her maturity pattern. She needs to be leaner for me. I'd like to set her shoulder back, make her knee set back, make her keep her hock more secure inside of her skeleton. Like the body, like the mass, just want to lean her up, make her a little sounder. Round out our class with one that just gets a little narrow and plain compared to the rest of them. Want to change her skin type, change her width and her balance. Let's put our hands together for these kids.
For our junior ewe lamb class, first place goes to Whitley Kopp. Second place, Marie Claire DeRogier. Third place, Lily Bowman. Fourth place, Gannon Long. Fifth place, Marie Claire DeRogier. And sixth place, Charlotte Bowman. We now have 3 pairs of ewe lambs. 1 pair by Charlotte Bowman, 1 pair by Lily Bowman, and 1 pair by Gannon Long. We'll then have a best 3 head with 1 entry by Gannon Long.
Well, some give and take here when you just talk about pairs, like the added body shape and the pair that comes ahead to win, like the added elevation and femininity of the pair in 2, and think we just have some issue with particularly one sheep back here in 3. Good stock here, and if you just run them out and talk them as individuals, the best individuals here comes in the second group. We start talking about lambs that are wide, round-bodied, a bit denser in terms of how they're organized. We're going to lead off with the young ladies here. Let's congratulate this trio here, all these young ladies. Nice pair show.
In our pair class, first place goes to Charlotte Bowman, second to Gannon Long, and third to Lily Bowman. We'll now have a best 3 head exhibited by Gannon Long.
Another real feminine ewe comes in with this particular pair to make a trio all stock that have the right kind of look from the side. We just need to make them a bit wider down low, a bit wider in terms of body cavity and cage. Good stock out here. Let's congratulate this exhibitor.
And that's a first place for Gannon Long with the best 3 head. We'll now bring back first and second places from our ewe classes for our champion drive. From the yearling ewe class, that's going to be Marie-Claire DeRogier and Gannon Long. From the senior ewe lamb class, that's going to be Caitlin James and Colton Spangler. From our intermediate ewes, that's Carly Buchanan and Caitlin Mayberry. And our junior ewes, Whitley Kopp and Marie-Claire DeRogier. Our all other breeds can make their way to the ready area, as well as our champions from the Dorset and Dorset Advantage. You can be in the ready area as well.
Well, small in numbers, but good quality here in a down show. Started back here with our biggers, and the one that is just the most impressive from a width and body muscularity standpoint, one that won that class. Don't know that I've ever seen boot wool on one of that age that big, and frankly, it's a little overwhelming just in terms of getting it to balance up. Good sheep there, carrying too much cover for me, but want to lean that one up a bit. That one's high quality. Came second out of class with a taller shouldered, real feminine looking one that's just a little narrow and flat, a little more apex in terms of design there from his blade back, but a nice one as well. Second class there, used the one that just the nicest looking from the side, flatter in terms of top line, leveler there, and neater at her shoulder, lower chest, the way her neck comes out. Gets a little narrow up front, a little tighter in terms of flank line. One that we want to open up and get right in behind, talk about progression of width and pin set. One that was second, big and stout, bulky, one that's just not as balanced up as we need to see up through our front end. Out of that third class, one that comes ahead and wins, does a nicer job just in terms of balance from our chest to the top of our blade, right there in terms of center body and flank line, long spine, flat hip, progressively widens, big feet and big feature in that. I like that about that one. Get her out here and let her go. Probably doesn't move as well as at least another one out here off her rear too. Just want to make that one a little more limber. One that was second, a little deeper chested, tighter flanked, little plainer in terms of our look up front. Just had our last class here. Young lady has a nice one that's good bodied, sound, practical, really balances up good from the side. One that's just got a lot of quality. Like the way that one really handles her hock and her back leg and pastern. One that was second out of there, bold centered, but one that gets upright in her shoulder and knee. One that we just need to relax back in their blade, set her knee back under, make her just a bit more fluid and flexible in how she goes. I'm sure you have your favorites. I have mine. Put your hands together for these kids. I'll get you a champion and a reserve.
Your champion comes from the Junior U class. Reserve comes from the intermediate class. Your champion is Whitley Kopp from Washington. Your reserve is Carly Buchanan from Augusta. We now have 3 entries in the bred and owned class, one by Marie Claire DeRozier, one by Charlotte Bowman, and one by Gannon Long. We'll then start our all other breed show with one class of all other breed intermediate ewes, and then we'll do our overall supreme breeding ewe drive after that. Our 4th entry is Charlotte Bowman. Lily.
Well, nice bred and owned out here, and I talked about this one just out in terms of width and cage and pin set. Awful good one that just needs to be relaxed up front and make her go a bit better. The 1 and 2 balances up pretty nice. Just need to reorganize that one behind in terms of skeletal quality. Wants to get her knee forward, her hock's a little more rigid, but one that's more genuine in terms of body type, natural width up top, width of loin back out through our hip and hind saddle compared to 3. Real elevated one here and very feminine. I like her underline. I like her elevation up front. Gets a little narrow, a little flat rib, little round loin comparatively. Round out our class with one that's just challenged in terms of quality look, particularly from skin and width. We just want to change that one a bit. Put your hands together for those kids.
In our bred and owned for South Downs, first place goes to Marie Claire DeRozier, second place Lily Bowman, third place Gannon Long, and fourth place Charlotte Bowman. That concludes our South Downs show. In our ring is our all other breed class, an entry by Stella Gibson of Louisa and John Hale of Hanover.
Well, a nice pair here in AOBs and a pretty dominant class winner just within the pair. Young ladies ewe lambs, one that's wide, stout, big ribbed, built smooth, transitions good right from her blade back out to her hip and pin set. She's neater down low in her chest. She's better up top in terms of progression width. Offers a neater option from a productive look from the side in terms of underline, one that's got a lot of quality. Now, I'd like to change her at the surface. I'd like to make her bigger footed, and there's a class advantage between the pair. Young man's got one standing on a bigger foot, more substance of bone. That one gets a little longer shouldered, a little deeper in terms of her chest, tighter and drier in her flank. No doubt, neck comes out a bit lower, a little plainer in terms of width as we read that one back. So nice stock out here. Let's congratulate them.
So your champion and reserve, all other breeds, Stella Gibson. Your reserve, John Hale. We're now going to call back in all of our champion and reserves for our overall Supreme Breeding U drive. Entering our ring, our champion Dorset is exhibited by Carly Buchanan. Our champion Dorset Advantage exhibited by Carly Buchanan. Our champion Southdown, exhibited by Whitley Kopp, and our champion All Other Breed, Stella Gibson. Our reserve Dorset, exhibited by Grayson Long. Our reserve Dorset Advantage, exhibited by London Vanderhyde. Our reserve Southdown, exhibited by Carly Buchanan. And our reserve All Other Breed, John Hale.
Folks, while our judge Glenn Martin is studying the sheep out here for your Supreme Champion, I want to take just a minute and say a few very important words. As many of you are well aware, we lost a great friend to the sheep industry, the livestock business, and animal agriculture in our state of Virginia, and particularly lost a great supporter and a great friend and colleague in Mr. Corey Childs, who was passionate about what we're doing this weekend. He was passionate about animal agriculture. He was particularly passionate about serving young people and the strengths and what this program does. In fact, Corey served on the committee as an associate superintendent for 34 years at the Virginia State Fair. That predates nearly all of us that are standing in this ring and lots of us in this barn. And we miss Corey greatly. But I'm very happy to share and want to take just a minute for all of us to recognize Corey, his tremendous contributions and what he meant to all of us. He was passionate about, as I mentioned, passionate about what we're doing, worked very, very hard to make this event, and particularly not just the state fair, but all the things that we got going on here in our great state. And happy to have the Northwest District, Corey's colleagues, have sponsored a really nice award that's going to go to the Supreme Champion U here in just a few minutes. We're very pleased to have Lisa Strong here. Lisa, thanks for your interest in putting together a tremendous award that commemorates Corey, and this thing will live on. We'll do it in the future. We'd like to thank the agents of the Northwest District. We've got a few of those represented with us: Casey Daniel, Kim Monroe. We've got Emily Edwards as well. Of course, my colleague, Ms. Catherine, for all that they do. And then particularly want to recognize Corey's daughter, Jordan, and his two grandsons, Torin and Braylon. They are here showing this weekend. Got some sheep and working hard. We appreciate them being here. Folks, Corey was a great guy, and I know he's looking down on us right now and enjoying every minute and cheering for each and every one of you that are in this barn and in this ring. So in his spirit, let's please put your hands together and let's honor Corey for all that he did.
Well, as we bring back our breeds and reserves from their respective breed divisions, let's put our hands together for all the young people that are here. And frankly, let's put our hands together for all of them that exhibited today in this ring. It's humbling to me to get to come, to enjoy myself, to get to work with your young people. Enjoyed myself quite a bit this morning, working with them in their showmanship and trying to impart some knowledge to them and some things that I saw and think that they could do better. And I think it was well received by by all of those young people that we had here. Incredible set of sheep out here. Really appreciate the quality that we have, and you know the show ring is a place for exceptionalism. We have to keep everything basic and genuine and honest in terms of the build, in terms of body type, in terms of flexibility. We can add some parts and pieces to make them a little more exceptional, and I think the show ring is a place to reward that. These young people have a nice set here. From our Dorsets, we had one that was just more exceptional in terms of elevation and balance and look from the side. Reserve out of that division. That young lady had a really nice set of sheep today, and that one's extremely wide and good-bodied, one that's real genuine in terms of shape up high, and just got a little coarser, not quite as elevated or neat right down our top line than our division champion there, but good stock as well. Out of the Dorset Advantage, we had a couple individuals and one just exceptionally unique one for me in terms of flexibility, body type, balance, progression of width. She's feminine and she's punchy, she's flexible. She did a lot of things right in my book. The one that was reserve out of there, great bodied sheep, bold back, big pin, stout, big-footed, 1-2 that's extremely attractive. Doesn't get out and go just quite as good, not as soft in terms of her spine, not as flexible in terms of her back leg, but a good one there. Just not long ago, named this Southdown our champ, followed up with a neat one there in back. This little one here is flexible and just the right kind in terms of genuine body shape. Not quite as probably balanced up as some out here in terms of lower chest. Wants to maybe round right at the end of her dog, but that's a good sheep. Stout featured, one that's extremely feminine, elevated up front. The one behind, just not quite as much lamb, just in terms of body type, in terms of true width and dimension in relation to frame and maturity, but a good one as well. Just talked the AOBs and I guess probably both Hamps as we look at them. Young ladies here, big top, smooth, progressively widens, good in terms of underline. Not as stout featured, not as big footed as what we'd like to see. Stouter one comes in back in terms of foot size, but just got a little plainer in terms of look from the side and 3/4. So differences out here. I have my favorites. I'm sure you have yours. Once again, reward these kids and we'll get you a Supreme and a Reserve.
Your Supreme is exhibited by Carly Buchanan from the Dorset Advantage breed. Your overall reserve also comes from the Dorset Advantage, exhibited by London Vanderhyde. This concludes our breeding sheep show. Thank you for coming out this evening. We'll see you again tomorrow.